How can you be asleep? Do you care nothing for science? She's actually snoring. Anyway, that's her. How about you? Are you ready for some good news? First up, scientists in Texas have created a new phase of matter, and they're calling it time crystals. Time crystal sounds like a MacGuffin from an episode of Doctor Who, and for all I know, it is. Never watched much Doctor Who. But the time crystals created by physicists at the University of Texas at Austin are atoms arranged in repeating patterns. But unlike conventional crystals, the patterns of which exist in space, the patterns of time crystals exist in, you guessed it, time. Time crystals are part of an exotic class of matter called non-equilibrium phases that, until recently, have been only theoretical. The time crystals created by the UT of A team were made from 10 ytterbium ions, which were made to move in a regular pattern by pulses of a laser. The UT of A team observed that once set in motion, the atoms of the time crystal behaved exactly as their theory predicted they would. This is an exciting new frontier in physics that scientists are just beginning to explore. The paper on time crystals is published in the journal Nature. Next up, researchers are in the final phase of trials for a new Ebola vaccine for apes. The Ebola outbreak that struck the West African nations of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone starting in 2013 cost the lives of at least 11,000 people, according to the World Health Organization, and made headlines around the world. But Ebola doesn't just threaten human lives. It also threatens the survival of our closest non-human relatives. For decades, Ebola outbreaks have ravaged wild ape populations. It's estimated that a third of all wild gorillas have died from Ebola in the last 30 years. A vaccine being developed by a team of researchers from the University of Cambridge, Thomas Jefferson University, and the University of Louisiana Lafayette has shown great promise in stimulating a robust immunity to Ebola in the chimpanzees who have been tested. This vaccine is taken orally, which the researchers hope will be easier to widely distribute to animals in the wild. Unfortunately, testing of the vaccine has been complicated by the small number of captive chimpanzees available to participate in clinical trials. Medical testing on captive chimps is legal in the U.S. provided the research being done is to benefit that species, but funding is extremely limited. It's one instance where the movement to end animal testing, which is generally a very good thing, I'd say, is actually hampering efforts which could benefit seriously threatened wild animals around the world. The paper on the oral Ebola vaccine for wild apes is published in Scientific Reports. Last one. You sure you don't want to get up? You're going to miss it. All right. Finally, researchers in South Korea have invented the world's smallest information storage media. The device, developed at the Center for Quantum Nanoscience, which is a part of South Korea's Institute of Basic Science, is able to store data by altering the magnetic properties of holmium atoms, only requiring one atom per bit of information. The information stored in the holmium atoms can then be read using a sensor made from an iron atom. The researchers found that they could place holmium atoms very close together, as close as 1 nanometer apart, and they would still function individually without interfering with each other. This is very unusual, and the researchers hope to discover why holmium atoms are able to be arranged so closely together without interference. But for now, their work may have yielded a breakthrough that will lead to the storage media of the future, smaller, denser, higher capacity memory systems than have ever been possible before. The paper on the single atom memory device is published in the journal Nature. Physicists create a new kind of matter in the form of time crystals. An oral vaccine against Ebola for wild apes is looking good in its final phase of testing, and researchers create a device that can store a bit of information in a single atom. That's the good news. You slept through the entire video. I don't know if that has ever happened before. What do you have to say for yourself? Nothing, obviously. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And also, please consider helping us to make more videos like this one by supporting this channel through Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Steve Shives to become a patron of this channel. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.